Let's go back to the crime scene. So Neville Bamber was shot 8 times, and they concluded that he was shot 4 times upstairs in the bedroom. I think that this is like blood spatter, and also just the cartridges.
The blood spatter was one of the key things, but I think you're right.
The cartridges
probably were.
Yeah, the empty shell casings. He got downstairs, and it's unclear exactly when he made the phone call. If he made it at this point, or I think more likely he made his phone call before the shooting started, but we don't know. Now, I say that because if he indeed made that phone call, the phone didn't have any blood on it.
Mm. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He also probably couldn't have talked if he had been... Because when he got shot, one of the shots, if I remember, it went through his jaw?
Yeah, I don't know if they know which one got which shot was where.
Or when.
Well, I think they do know which ones were where, partially because of the blood spatter. I wanted to say splatter. But I think they have some. That's why I'm pretty sure they had figured out that he had, the one that had gone through his jaw had gone in when he was upstairs. So he couldn't have really talked on the phone.
Yeah, well, and the other thing...
It would have been unintelligible.
The other thing, too, is when you got somebody who's trying to kill you, the last thing you do is go make a phone call. You go to your gun closet and get a gun out. Mm-hmm. So that's probably what he headed downstairs to do. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm guessing, and not to make the phone call. So I think he probably made the phone call before the shooting started. If he made the phone call, that's controversial.
Yeah.
He made his way downstairs. There was a struggle. It appears that there was damage to the rifle, so it appears that somebody butt-stroked him and headbutted him with the rifle, and that it probably bludgeoned him into unconsciousness. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to guess at this point in time, this gun only held 10 rounds in the magazine. Mm-hmm. So whoever it was that did the shooting bludgeoned him into unconsciousness, and then paused, reloaded the gun, and then finished him off when the gun was loaded.
Can I ask a question here? And maybe you don't know. I don't remember seeing it anywhere. Did they ever figure out what they thought the order of the killings had taken place in?
No, and this is, you see, I don't know how well fingerprint IDs hold up on a cartridge that's been loaded into a magazine and then fired. I would think that you would still be able to lift prints off of that empty shell casing.
I would think so. At least partials.
Yeah. So the first 10 rounds would have had Jeremy's fingerprints on them.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Because he admitted to loading the weapon and then leaving.
Yeah, he loaded the weapon. So that would tell you where the first shots took place. But I don't know if they did that. I know they gathered the casings and they made note of where each one was. But I looked around. I was trying to find any information about if they lifted prints off the shell casings, and I couldn't find anything.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is that I'm imagining that the encounter between Neville and whoever was doing the shooting had to have caused quite a bit of noise, just with the bludgeoning and the broken furniture.
Yeah.
So it almost leads me to believe that he was maybe one of the last ones to die.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. If the kids were killed in their sleep, let's assume that the silencer was on the rifle throughout much of the crime. Mm-hmm. So if the kids were killed in their sleep, well, they must have been killed first, maybe, or maybe June was. I don't know.
No, I mean, my guess would be the boys first.
And that's 8 rounds.
It's 8 rounds.
So that poses a logistic. I say that because that's a logistical issue. You've got 10 rounds total, and you've just expended 8 of them.
No. Okay, so you do that. You go downstairs. You reload. Neville says, "Oh, I heard something. It's weird." Comes downstairs, right in this story, and says, "Oh, what are you doing?" She said, "Nothing." Runs away. You grab the phone, make the call, hear a gunshot, go, "Oh, oops." Drop the phone. Line goes dead. You run upstairs. June's dead now. How many shots was that?
It was 7, I think.
7.
June was shot 7 times.
So you've got 3.
Yep.
So maybe I'm willing to accept in this case there could have been a margin of error of 1 shot that was shot up above, right? He gets shot 3 times, run downstairs.
He was shot 4 times upstairs, I think.
I'm just saying I'm willing to accept.
I see where Devin's going, and I suddenly see where the flaw in my logic is, and maybe probably a lot of people's logic, which is I played too many freaking video games that you expend all the rounds in the cartridge or in the clip before you reload. Because video games make that easy. But you don't. You're right. just dawned on me, you don't have to do it that way. So that could very well be it.
Or you shoot June once.
She was shot once in the head, that's all it takes.
Maybe you shoot her once. Neville comes up, says, "Oh, what are you doing?" You shoot him 4 times, chase him downstairs, because he's going for the phone again or whatever. Beat him to death, come back up, finish June off.
And now we all know why this story is such a mystery, because we could do this for another 45 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Quick, Joe, start taking notes.
Sorry.
Devin and I are going to keep going.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So I'm just providing one
I totally
possible,
understand.
but I agree. I think the boys probably would have had gone first.
Okay.
Because otherwise they would have
been woken up.
They would have been woken up,
Yeah.
and they would not have been peacefully in bed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, as I
Also, I'm sorry. As a quick question, it was not a semi-automatic. What kind
It was a
of gun?
semi.
it was a semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Just wondering, because that also explains why there maybe what I would say is an excessive amount of shooting happening to like a small boy in a bed, right? You need 1 bullet for that, but if you are not experienced with guns and you pull the trigger a little too hard and it just
No, it's a
shoots a
semi,
couple
so it wouldn't have
extra.
kept going.
Yeah,
It wouldn't?
yeah. It's not a full auto, just semi-auto. So you have to pull the trigger every time.
every time. Got it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But yeah, whoever did it wanted to make sure the kids were dead. So
I want to make sure everyone was dead.
Yeah, you could actually probably survive a gunshot wound to the head. You're probably not going to survive 5.
Probably not.
No. That's
not
pretty
a
rare.
chance. Not a chance, really. So there was the shooting that we're not really sure what order it all occurred in. I'm guessing that let's say it was Sheila. She walks into the bedroom and she shoots Neville 4 times, thinking, "Oh, that'll be enough." And then she turns the gun on her mother and starts shooting her. Let's say she shoots her, like 4 or 5, maybe 6 times. Well, now she's got an empty gun. Meanwhile, Neville's heading downstairs. Oops, he didn't finish him off with those 4 rounds. And he's going to go grab himself a shotgun or something.
Yeah.
So you go after him. You take that rifle and you start
Hitting him with it, yeah.
hitting him with that thing until he loses consciousness, at least enough that you got just a little bit of time to reload your gun and then finish him off.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go back upstairs and you pop a few more rounds into Mother.
Because you don't like her.
Yeah. And actually, Sheila did.
Neither of the kids liked their mom.
No.
Yeah.
Let's
she
be
was a
fair.
piece
So
of work.
no matter,
She
almost
sounds like a total piece of work.
no matter who killed them, they didn't like June. There's one option of a person who maybe didn't really care.
Yeah, and then of course, Jeremy had problems with his parents, and then he wasn't that crazy about his sister.
No.
And then he was also really kind of angry and jealous about his sister because she had had her breakdown and everything, and then she'd broken up with her husband, gotten a divorce, and so they bought her a flat in London. And Jeremy was a little ticked off about that.
Yeah, they bought her a really nice flat. They probably were giving her a pretty hefty allowance.
Yeah, they were.
She was raising 2 boys, so she needed more money than he did, and
Though of course, her ex-husband at that time, he reportedly said he was doing almost everything for and with the boys.
Yeah.
Before they came to live with them. But I want to point out, she was 28 or 29?
She was 28.
28 when she died. So that makes Jeremy 24.
Yeah.
24-year-old men are jealous idiots of everything.
Yeah.
So, I'm not trying to justify behavior, but I'm also trying to shine a light on this is kind of normal behavior for a 24-year-old dude to be angry at everybody else because he's not getting his entitled due.
That certainly doesn't mean he's a psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known a few people that had they were from not super stinking huge rich, but very well-off families, and the siblings were all really kind of at each other's throats over the money and stuff like that. And, well, anyway, back to our story. What were we talking about? Okay. Oh, yeah, the twins. They were shot 8 times total. And then Sheila was on the master bedroom floor, as I said, on her back, shot twice. And there were no signs of struggle on her body. The police said her hands were clean, no lead or powder residue. There was no blood on her feet, even though there was blood on the floor. So that was considered kind of significant, and it might be. But
that's significant. Well, you're saying the blood because if she had done all this shooting and there was all this blood flying around, she should have had it on her.
She should have walked through some of it. Yeah. But of course, at the same time, when she was done slaughtering everybody, she could have washed her hands, and there were a pair of socks found nearby that were blood stained, and so if she was walking around in her socks and she took her socks off because they were blood-stained and sticky and gross. So she takes them off, wipes her feet off, washes her hands. So that explains the lack of blood and the lack of lead residue, powder residue on her hands.
So I think I'm willing to say that the evidence is strong that Sheila was the last one to die. Would you agree with that?
She was either the last or the first. And here's what I would say: she might have been the first. Supposing that she didn't do the killing, supposing it really was Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Now, what they have said, the prosecution has said, there are no signs of a struggle on her body. Mm-hmm. You know, no scratches, no bruises, no broken fingernails, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. Well, if Jeremy had murdered her, and this is one of the reasons I kind of have my doubts that he did murder her, the only way he could have done it without a struggle would have been to kill her first.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going off of the evidence that's been presented with the crime scene photos and the fact that it looks like her blood is like...
And that's the thing, it looks like she was the last killed, by far.
By
because
far.
her blood had not coagulated yet.
Right, so I am of the camp that says that she died last, and if she died last and didn't do the killing, if Jeremy or someone else did the killing, it's even more suspicious to me that she was clean. Because I've seen crime pictures. I mean, there was a sizable amount of blood around June, for instance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blood everywhere. There was stuff going on. She definitely would have been woken up with whatever's happening with Neville downstairs. Either she would have gone down to investigate that, she would have seen her mom, and who knows if she would have been sad of her mom or not, but she would have walked through some blood. There would have been some damage, and then there probably would have been a struggle with Jeremy. Probably. Well, maybe not. I don't know how the drugs she was on affected her. I know they're kind of had sedative qualities.
It was kind of a sedative, antipsychotic.
So I don't know if I don't know, but I think it's
the problem
really
with her
suspicious.
having been the first to die is the coagulation of the blood. That doesn't add up at all.
Yeah.
And I swear, correct me if I'm wrong, if either of you know the answer, but I swear that while Jeremy and the police were outside, they heard gunshots. Is that incorrect? I swear I read that somewhere.
I didn't read it.
No, I didn't either.
You did a lot more clicking on some websites than I did, I know. So
yeah. That's because you hate colored text.
I can't. I'm sorry, you guys. Make them black and white. Come on. And black on white, not the other way around. That's the worst.
That is the worst. Part on the eyes. You know, actually, the worst ones of all are the ones where they fade away from bright to dark. The background is behind you.
Yeah.
I just hate that.
I do too.
Oh my God, it's so hard on your eyes. But anyway, back to the mystery.
Anyway, I think she likely washed. I mean, there were notes of things like her nails were perfectly manicured still. She was in a pristine dress or sleeping gown. Everything was perfect. And that, to me, sounds like ritualistic cleaning after a crime. Versus, I just happened to make it through this basic bloodbath with not a single drop of anything on me.
Yeah, no, I think it's highly possible that's why she cleaned up, maybe even changed her clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
although they probably would have found the clothes.
That's a good point.
Maybe they wouldn't have, because I know that they missed some other stuff.
Well, they were not thorough.
Well, there is the other answer.
Yeah.
Which is she was naked. If she cleaned up and she took a quick shower, there would be no blood on clothes because she had no clothes to.
If she was shooting people naked.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
The naked assassin.
Hey, she was a model, or she had been.
She'd been doing nude photo shoots,
no, I make jest, but it is completely plausible that in her own home she may have said, "Well, I want to be naked tonight. Now I'm going off the edge, and you know what? I'm doing it. Oh, I'm naked. Well, that's not going to stop me."
Well, it was her parents' house.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's true. She could have been naked.
Yeah, I like that theory. One other thing about Sheila's body is that there was a Bible next to it. It was open and laying print down.
Face down.
It was June's Bible, right?
It was actually June's Bible, but it was next to Sheila's body. And when you look at the crime scene photos, you can see a note sticking out between the pages. I don't know if that was a note written by Sheila or by June or what.
I've looked at the photo and it's hard to tell, but I almost wonder if it's just a bookmark.
I
mean, I've heard it referred to as the note, but since we don't know what it is, I'm just wondering if it was some kind of bookmark.
I was just gonna say that my family members who are intensely religious have their study Bibles, and they have notes and stuff stuck in there too. They had a thought, or they have something that they want to remember.
It relates to the
something, that relates to that passage, or maybe not, but maybe it's something else. I don't know.
True. Yeah.
People keep notes in their Bibles sometimes.
Yeah,
I do.
So it's not necessarily significant, but here's the thing: is the note is gone. Nobody knows
so
it.
it's weird if it pertains to the case.
Yeah, it might not.
And I guess it's weird, I guess, if it doesn't pertain to the case, because then why is it gone? But
yeah, I mean, it might have just been, like, say, notes about various biblical kinds of things, and so somebody just thought, we don't need this. And on the Bible itself, the defense lawyers were asking for, like, if they had any separate, isolated pictures of the Bible, and like, especially they were interested in finding out what pages it was open to. And the police said, no, we never took separate pictures of it. And by the way, the Bible itself was destroyed. Sometime, I don't remember exactly, like 1994, we destroyed it. Great guys. They destroyed a lot of stuff.
They did.
it was
Tons of evidence.
like 10 years after the case.
Yeah, and then...
well, there's a limit, I believe, to how long they're required to keep certain evidence, but in a case where it's still being appealed continually, it's amazing that they did it.
Yeah.
That they destroyed it.
You read why they did, right? The police department that was in charge, that had custody of all this stuff, said, we didn't know the case was ongoing.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That was their official statement, was we burned it because we were unaware that the case was ongoing.
Yeah, really.
Okay, I'm going to use that.
Great
Yeah,
going,
me too.
guys. Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff in this case, like the phone calls. If it's true that Neville called the police, and there is some evidence that Neville Bamber called the police.
There is,
and
actually.
Then supposedly he called Jeremy, and then Jeremy called the police.
And they called differently, because I know
Yeah.
Jeremy didn't use 999.
Yeah, he did.
He called the station's number directly.
Yeah, and
I believe Neville called 999.
I think so. Yeah, and the thing about it is those were recorded, but the recordings were deleted after 28 days, which is a crying shame, because that would solve the mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. I mean, anyway, back into this thing.
Well, they had... There's a picture even of the log.
Yeah, there's two different logs of apparently two different
Because there are
phone
two
calls.
different stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of them said somebody identifying themselves as a Mr. Bamber called and said, my daughter, who's 26 years old,
It's gone berserk
has
and has
gone
a
berserk and has a gun.
Yeah.
And then that was Jeremy Bamber says his dad called him. And I mean, it's pretty solid evidence.
Well, and there's different timestamps.
Yeah. Yeah, about 10 minutes difference.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the funny thing is I remember reading, and it just stood out as odd to me that they have two different timestamps and they're almost exactly 10 minutes apart.
Yeah.
But one of the rationales is obviously the officer who was taking the note misread the time on the clock, and it should have been 24 instead of 34 after the hour, or whatever it was.
It was like the one of them was 3:26, and the other one was 3:36.
Yes.
And I believe that Jeremy Bamber's call was at 3:36.
Yes.
Right. But here's the deal: is that in response to Neville's call, they had dispatched a car to the farmhouse at 3:35.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I don't know, man. It's not just incompetence at a certain point. I mean,
It's at some point you kind of think that it's suspiciously bad.
Yeah.
Suspiciously incompetent.
Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody didn't like Jeremy. I don't know.
I have no doubt in my mind that a lot of people didn't like Jeremy.
It doesn't seem like a likable guy, but that doesn't mean he should be in prison.
No. But on the bright side, in prison, he has obviously got a lot of time to work out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He's got lots and lots of time to work on his appeals because he just keeps appealing this case.
But he's also working on his guns, evidently, because the photos of him today, he is kind of a big dude.
Yeah.
Well, keep it in shape, Yeah. Oh, back to our mystery. 3 days after the murders, Jeremy's cousins went to the house because they felt like the police had probably... They didn't feel like the police were really paying proper attention.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go search the house themselves.
They were suspicious, right? They thought Sheila wasn't capable of that sort of thing, so they thought, well, clearly somebody else did it, and the police didn't search for evidence, which is fair. I mean, they said, well, the gun always had a suppressor and a scope on it, and neither of those things were on the gun when he found it, so where were they? And the police said, we didn't find it.